Okay, in this video, we are going to describe the basics of EMFs, proof of how they're harming people, how products work, and proof that the products work. So this is going to be kind of a short version of a presentation that maybe a practitioner type may use because you just don't have a whole lot of time to go through and describe everything. So here we go. Now, electromagnetic frequencies are basically, it's radiation, just like this says. Radiation comes from everything that's electrical, including the worst forms, which are the higher frequency radiation from cell phones, basically everything Bluetooth and everything Wi-Fi. That means laptops, cell phones, smart meters, tablets, Wi-Fi routers, and so on. And a couple of things to add: solar gives us a lot of extra challenges, and an electrical motor such as a fan or an air purifier in a bedroom are also very common and bad culprits here. So what are the effects or the symptoms of EMFs? They're listed right here. Very common is fatigue, sleep problems, focus or concentration difficulties, headaches, immune system disorders, Alzheimer's, cancer, tumors. Couple not listed here: lowered melatonin production when you're sleeping, sperm motility issues. Dr. Martin Pauls talks about a major cause of autism, if not the major. But the key to this page is the cell damage and basically the DNA damage and free radical damage that happen in your cells. That's happening to everyone. So if you don't have a symptom, that is happening, and it's happening to unbelievable levels, like you're getting x-rays every day of your life, that kind of level, and we'll show you in a second. So proving that EMFs are harmful, it's been ridiculously proven. Over 10,000 studies prove this. Over 4,000 are found in one location, the Bioinitiative. We love the Bioinitiative because this is a place that scientists and environmental leaders got together for over a decade. They compounded massive amounts of studies and information. They don't sell products. They don't have bias. There's no funding with an agenda. So they're just trying to protect the world. And their members from all over the world belong to this organization. They come up with electricity levels at 1 milligauss, are basically giving adults biological effects, and over a half starts affecting children. Now, cell phones, Wi-Fi, everything Bluetooth and Wi-Fi basically, which is microwaves, that is going to start affecting adults at anything above 30 and anything above 10 microwatts per meter squared. And that's what our meter is going to measure way over every time you hold anything up to it. Now that's microwatts per meter squared. Your meter, if it's the long one with the big Star Wars looking antenna, then that's going to measure microwatts per meter squared. If you have the small one that may be in the EMF specialist, EMF practitioner certified training, then you may have one that's milliwatts per meter squared, in which case it would have to be 0.03. Over that would equal biological effects. So EMFs are labeled a carcinogen, 2B, which is called possible carcinogen by these organizations, and a group 1 known carcinogen by the Bioinitiative, PowerWatch, and others. It's just a quick FYI. Now, how bad are EMFs today? One Swedish scientist predicted that, or measured that, the levels have increased about a quintillion. That's this crazy giant long number here. That's a million trillions in a decade. That's 3G microwave radiation from cell phones have increased that much in a decade. Holy moly, that's insane. Now, the largest cell phone study and most expensive cell phone study ever done just got done in November 2018, which it doesn't say here. This was a 10-year study, over $30 million. They set it up with low levels of 2G and 3G radiation from cell phones, which was what we had 10 years ago. And they really set it up to prove that cell phones were fine and not causing any problems. But the result was not that. They found that there was clear evidence Now that's a government agency, our government, United States government, National Institute of Environmental Health Sciences, right here. They came up that there's clear evidence that rats and mice, that it's causing cancer in rats and mice. That's all you need to know. They universally agreed, all the scientists within this very expensive study and an external panel of scientists all agreed that these low levels of cell phone radiation over time cause cancer. Now, what does that mean? Today's cell phone is now 4G going to 5G, higher frequencies, more intense, worse for you than this. So what are we going to find out in another 10 years about how ridiculously horrible this is? Just wait for it, because it's going to blow people out of the water. Now look at this incredible study here. This is a $3.3 million study paid for by the European Union, done by 12 different institutions, not some dude in his basement, but 12 institutions, that found the DNA damage which EMFs cause was about the same for 24 hours on a cell phone, was equal to approximately 1,600 chest x-rays worth of DNA damage. Just like drop the mic, pause. Wow. Okay, if this is 100 times wrong, we have a gigantic problem. Oh my gosh. This study and many like it that are blowing people's minds, that are saying this is a huge problem, it's an epidemic, it's biblical proportions, it's an emergency, it's a crisis, it's a serious deal. Because of that, over 40 other countries, not the United States, have already passed federal laws banning Wi-Fi near schools or in them, near nurseries. They're banning cell phones from schools. Major countries, you can read the list. That's because they don't have the good lobbying system we do here. We're getting it out much slower. April 2019, Brussels in Belgium became the first major city to ban 5G for health reasons. I've heard lots of other towns all over, including in the United States, are doing that. Big deal. The world's finding out about how bad this is. Now, a little simple science to describe what an EMF is so that we can know how to fix it. Because you can't fix the EMF problem if you don't know what's causing a problem. How's it hurting us? Well, 6 years ago, we figured it out. Basic layman term science here. EMF radiation are photons traveling light speed, carrying energy, and as they do, they oscillate back and forth. At least there's a force as they travel light speed that oscillates. There's a magnetic and an electrical force that oscillates as it travels. Now, this oscillating at light speed creates what we call shaking and vibrating. We call that subatomic chaos, little molecules shaking and vibrating extremely fast. When this happens, there's problems. So in a microwave oven, to understand this subatomic chaos, when you put a microwave oven, some food in there, it's vibrating the molecules enough so that little molecules are smashing into other molecules, which creates the friction, which heats your food. Okay, should we do that to our food? No. Should we do that to our brain cells by holding our cell phone to our head? Heck no. The cell phone, the Wi-Fi router, the cell towers, and many other microwave devices use literally the same frequency that your microwave oven uses to vibrate and heat your food. What the heck are we doing? Whoa. The news just keeps getting more ridiculous. Your router, computers, and cell phone use the same frequencies, and the FDA and FCC limits are still exceeded by your router and exceeded by your cell phone, even the crazy, horrible limits that they set, which, by the way, if we go back here, what's not in this short version, the experts, the scientists say that over 30 or over 10 for kids, we have biological effects. The FDA says over 10 million is unsafe. Under 10 million, they consider safe. Hello. And the FCC has a ridiculous high level. Your cell phone exceeds them both. Whoa. Now, let's get into how. We have thousands of cause and effect studies, but in 2013, Dr. Martin Pall discovered how an EMF is causing a cellular damage, which then domino effect leads to all the possible symptoms on page 1. This EMF is vibrating and shaking, like we said. That's the subatomic chaos. By the way, this is what we interjected in Dr. Martin Paul's diagram. Okay? Now, this shaking and vibrating like a tuning fork opens up a gate called a voltage-gated calcium channel that's not supposed to open unless you need calcium. All of a sudden, this gate opens and stays open, letting all the double ion calciums that float by inside the cell. This overabundance, imbalance of calcium and too many ions create an imbalance in the cell, free radical damage, nitric oxide increase, and the free radicals lead to DNA damage, and this is the snowball domino effect, okay? So, EMF doesn't directly hurt you. That's agreed upon by all physicists, pretty much. Universally agree that this does not directly damage DNA. It's indirectly damaging DNA, thank goodness to Dr. Martin Paul we know how, by this mechanism, shaking and vibrating, opening up the voltage-gated calcium and starting this domino effect. Why is this so important? Because we can't describe how products address the EMFs unless we understand this. Because our products do not block the EMF. We don't have to because it's not directly harming us according to all physicists. We address the subatomic chaos. Okay? We harmonize this so that this doesn't open and the rest of the reactions hopefully are not happening. Okay? Now, what this means is we're focused on the shaking and vibrating more than the EMF itself, because again, this is not where the harm is. So, certain EMFs vibrate and shake a lot worse than others do. There's a lot of things that go into it. That's for a more lengthy discussion. But this is how our products work in layman terms. We have multiple products and 4 materials. I think it's maybe 11 patents pending. We're not going to describe exactly how the products work, but we're going to describe the basic concept or an analogy so that people can wrap their head around the concept, and this is a great page to describe that. So, this is an EMF. This is representing forces going in random directions, or the subatomic chaos of the particles. This is a picture of the blood because this, according to Dr. Martin Paul, opens up the voltage-gated calcium channel, which leads to cell damage, free radical damage, DNA damage, and so on, and that could lead to symptoms, although it does have DNA damage and effects. But if you don't see the symptoms today, congrats, but just stick around for a while. You probably will, and your kids definitely will. Now, we create a harmonization of the atmosphere. How do we do that? So in this house, our products are going to harmonize things. They don't have magnetism working, and we have something that's much lighter and much more effective and different, quite a bit different, but the concept and the analogy is very much the same. So if you put a magnet down in this home, okay, a strong magnet, and EMFs were traveling by that magnet, this shaking and vibrating would want to smooth itself out because it wants to align forces north to south. So this chaos looks more harmonized when it passes by a magnet. Okay? Then you don't get the reaction and you're symptom free, hopefully. This is how our products work. We're addressing the subatomic chaos. Okay? Again, we're not using this magnet. It doesn't look like this, but this is a very good analogy to wrap your head around how the products work. We don't block this. We don't directly go after this. We do address this in a quite effective way. How the heck do we know it works? Because there's no meter that measures this, because the EMF here and here are both going to be measured on a meter the same. So when our products are present, the EMF's not going to measure lower on a meter because we're not blocking it. We're changing the environment it travels through. So since there's no meter, how do we prove our products work? There's 7 different ways. I really only need the first and the 7th. I love them all, especially number 1, 2, and 7. This is by far my favorite way we've proven it. We've had multiple tests done by people in front of using cell phones, in front of smart meters, routers, underneath the power lines, and so on. Here's my favorite one. This is a lady in the beginning of 2019. We had a group come in one morning and get their blood looked at. So we prick everybody's finger, we look at the blood cells under a microscope, and here you can see that they're, because she came in on her cell phone and it didn't have a product on it. So her blood here looks stuck together. The cells are sticky. It's called rouleau when they stick together. The white centers are called target cells. According to the experts, ideally they're spaced apart and round, not stuck together. Why don't we want them stuck together? I'm not a medical doctor, but I'm going to give you a short answer that's common sense. So that's my disclaimer. The common sense answer is these are red blood cells. They fit one at a time through capillaries. Everybody knows that. That's in biology. If they're not going through capillaries, if they're 10 stuck all to each other and they can't fit 10 at a time, then they don't go through the capillaries. They clog them up. And then your number one job of your red blood cell to deliver oxygen is reduced. So is it a wonder that focus and memory problems is one of the side effects of EMFs? No, it's not. Because if they're stuck and they're not going through in your brain, perhaps you have less oxygen and perhaps you can't remember things as well. So this is a lady before. Then she gets on a 3-minute call using our cell chip on her phone. And these are all same day, back to back, immediately following each other. Now you can see they're starting to be round and spaced apart, the way, quote unquote, the norm looks. Then she kept using her phone on a 3-minute call without our cell chip. And then you can see, boy, what a mess. And then she does immediately another 3-minute call, and it goes drastically improves again. And we could probably, in essence, keep going on, and it would just keep doing that. Here's some thermal imaging tests. This is someone that didn't have any change on a 10-minute phone call using the cell chip on her phone. And this is the same person, just 5 minutes in between. We did another 10-minute phone call. You can see the white and the red are showing that there was quite a bit of thermal effect from the cell phone without any product on the cell phone. So that's pretty self-evident that the chaos seems to be non-existent or drastically reduced. And this is kind of like the finale here. I would get with your rep, and we have lots of testimonials. When I was a rep in 2017, and I was more not full-time, but more full-time, and I did most of 2017 going to houses myself, I got over 100 testimonials, and I have them on my phone, and I can show everybody. That is awesome. It's out of the norm to have so many testimonials. What it means is it's common to have a testimonial, and our products really work. And let me just conclude by saying, don't tell anybody that we cure anything. We don't ever say we cure anything, not to mention we're not medical doctors and all the disclaimers. But what we do is our products freaking work. And when they work, your energy, your body should have a lot of extra energy that it didn't have yesterday, because you're not busy repairing all the DNA damage and free radical damage, hopefully. And if you have a bunch of extra energy today, your body can use that energy for healing or digestion or immune function or whatever your body decides to put that towards. And everybody's priorities will be different, so I can never predict exactly what the effects are going to be, and some people don't notice any. But some of those people that don't notice any have done these tests, and their bloods certainly look different, even though they didn't notice it by feeling anything on this invisible toxin. So the testimonials are awesome. They're common. And this is why we've blown up, because with no marketing, this is why we've grown our company, because people feel a difference, many, and they tell their friends, and those tell their friends, and that's, here we are. It's been awesome. So this is just a list of products. This is a home checklist, which we'll quickly walk through. So this is what products ideally someone would use to remediate their house. I don't use protect and fix. Just disclaimer wise, that we address, we remediate, FYI. So if you live in a house, you just put a 1 here. You need one home harmonizer. If you have solar, or you're near large power lines, or a transformer, or a cell tower, then you would want one more home harmonizer. You put a 1 here. If you live in a condo or an apartment, then you put 2 here. If you have a lot of your walls, like 3 or more, that you have neighbors on the other side, and those neighbors may have routers and all kinds of things that they are not remediating, you might want to put more like a 3 or 4 here to be safe, because things are getting a little out of hand about how much radiation is coming off of all these items now. If you have any fans or air purifiers, you would put the number here, especially if they're in a bedroom. You can get away with one if it's not in your bedroom, but in your bedroom it's got to be just awesome, or don't use it. And even when you fix it, keep the fan as far away from the bed as possible, even with our device chip on there. So you put a number, let's say you have 1 fan, you might have 1 router, and then boom, you would have a total of 2 device chips. How many beds? You would put the number here, and that's how many bed or Z's products that you would slip under the mattress. Then you have how many cell phones you want to remediate, laptops or tablets. This is really important, number 3. Get a personal card, adult band, or a kid band on everybody's person. This is so that when you're not home, that everywhere you go, you're partially to mostly taken care of. Like, you don't have to worry about this issue. This changed my life when I started wearing the XL personal card. Over time, I got super strongest I've ever been at 48, and some amazing testimonials of my own just from doing that over time. Other things to remediate: if you have an office work area, you commute, you want your area good, you can get the room harmonizer here, and that is going to take care of a room, give or take how bad the EMFs are. It could do more, could do up to 3 rooms. Then if you have a desktop computer like a PC that has Wi-Fi out of it, a device chip would be great for that. And then an automobile with a car harmonizer. I want to go back up to this Wi-Fi router. Make sure that they also properly do everything that's strong Wi-Fi. In other words, it says smart devices. These are like Google Home and Alexas. Baby monitors. Anything that's Wi-Fi shooting stuff in the air. Cordless phones. Fire stick. Wi-Fi extenders. Wi-Fi printers. And so on. Generally, because of these home harmonizers or room harmonizers, you don't have to do most electrical equipment. You don't have to do like smart TVs because we don't touch them. We're not super close to them. These tend to take care of it so that it comes off chaotic, and then as it travels so many feet towards you, by the time it arrives, it's smoothed out the chaos, to use an analogy. And yeah, that's a great basic understanding of everything a practitioner would likely need. And here's some basic instructions about where to and where not to put the home harmonizer device on meters. And this is very good because if they see one of these, which is 5G cell towers in their neighborhood, excuse me, our products have been designed to remediate all of the frequencies, including 5G, and their home harmonizer product should be strong enough, that when these come to their person's neighborhood, it should still do good enough. Unless this is like 20 yards from their home, they might want to get a second home harmonizer box on their electric meter. This is a scatapole. This is another really nasty little job. But I do want to say that all these things being horrible, I own it all because I trust our products, and I'm not anti any of this stuff. I use it all and love it. But if you don't address it with products that you trust, then you're a crazy person once you learn this. I would never own a cell phone if I couldn't remediate it. Now that I do, I sleep with it next to me and I don't use it on speakerphone. So when you see this near you, or one of these very innocent looking antenna looking things, this could be a scatapole, which stands for supervisory control and data acquisition pole. Pretty not good to be close to this. Even within half a block of one of these, consider this like a giant cell tower because these are very strong and very high frequency radiation. And that wraps it up. That's all the great information you should need. Thanks.